Hello there, my awesome student, and welcome to the last section in chapter number 1. This story is called Dates, and it's on important dates, or talking about dates. Dates, so like which month it is, which day, which week, which year. Things like that are very important for you to know when speaking in English. So this story is going to be very, very useful for you. I'm going to go through it now. You can skip this video if you want to and just go down and start listening immediately. But if you want to, stay here with me and I'm going to go through the story with you sentence by sentence before you get started. So this is a conversation between John and Lisa. John and Lisa are a couple. And this is how it goes. John starts by saying, "Hey, babe, remember when we first met?" Hey, babe. So when we want to say cariño, amor, or bebé, as we say in Colombia a lot, we say babe in English. Hey, babe, which is very common as well. Hey, babe, remember when we first met? Remember when we first met? Now, this is technically grammatically incorrect. John should have said, "Do you remember when we first met?" Okay? But since we don't always talk with perfect grammar, native speakers neither, it's very okay, it's completely okay to just say, "Hey, remember when we first met?" instead of "do you remember?" It's kind of implicit that that's what he's saying. Lisa responds, "Yes, it was on a sunny Saturday 5 years ago." So now we're starting with some date vocabulary, right? It was on a sunny Saturday 5 years ago. And every single day of the week is spelled with a capital letter, just so you know. Months, days of the week, years, it's all spelled with a capital letter. Yes, it was on a sunny Saturday 5 years ago. Feels just like yesterday, doesn't it? Feels just like yesterday. Feels just like yesterday, doesn't it? Here, he's also missing a word. Can you guess which one it is? He said this, but if he had wanted it to be perfectly grammatically correct, he should have said, "It feels like just yesterday," right? Because we always write out the subject in every sentence to be grammatically correct. What feels like yesterday? Today feels, or that day feels like yesterday. So that day isn't a he, it's not a she, it's not a person. So if it's not a he and if it's not a she, then it's it, always it, right? It feels just like yesterday, doesn't it? Time flies, says Lisa. And John responds, "Do you know what weekday our anniversary falls on this year?" Do you know what weekday, what day of the week? So we can say both weekday, or we can say day of the week. It's the same thing, but this is obviously shorter and faster, so a lot of people use this. Do you know what weekday our anniversary falls on? Where it falls, right? Donde cae? En qué día cae? Where it falls this year. And then Lisa says, "It's on a Tuesday next month." It's on a Tuesday. Actually, when British people talk, it kind of sounds like this. Tuesday. That's how British people talk. Terrible British accent, by the way. But we say Tuesday. It's on a Tuesday next month. Next month is May, right? Next month is May, right? Okay, so we can say right as it means the same thing, right? We're just confirming what we said. And look here again. The M is in capital letters, always capital letters with dates. "Yes, silly," responds Lisa to John. "Yes, silly, next month is May," right? "Oh," says John, "and your birthday's in 2 weeks." Oh, and your birthday's in 2 weeks. Okay, your birthday's in 2 weeks is exactly the same. He's using a contraction here. But what he's saying is your birthday is in 2 weeks, right? So this is a contraction. So we always, or native speakers of English, always try to do these sort of contractions to speak faster. Your birthday is in 2 weeks. Your birthday is in 2 weeks. It's the same thing. Yes, on a Wednesday. Yes, on a Wednesday. That's how we pronounce this word. We don't say Wednesday. Okay, we actually say something like this. Wednesday, Wednesday, Wednesday. Yes, on a Wednesday. Remember that road trip we took to Florida? Remember that road trip. A road trip is one word, and it means un viaje por carretera, which is very typical in the United States and in Europe that we do road trips because the roads are very good, they're very long, and it's a lot cheaper to travel by road than by airplane. And since Europe and the United States in general is very flat, you typically arrive quickly as well when you travel by road. For example, in Colombia, where I live, you could never do a road trip because the roads are like this up the mountains, and it would take you 8 hours to go from Medellin to Bogota and 30 minutes by airplane. So it doesn't make sense to do road trips over here. But in the United States and in Europe, it's very common to do road trips. Okay? Remember that road trip we took to Florida? Remember that road trip we took to Florida? Also because it's safer, right? So safety is also a big component. Remember that road trip we took to Florida? Took is the past tense of the verb take. So this is present tense, and then we have took. So this is an irregular verb, right? It's an irregular verb. We take something in the present and we took something in the past. Okay? Yeah, it was 7 years ago in July. Yeah, it was 7 years ago in July. July. 7 years ago in July. John says, when's your brother's birthday, by the way? When's your brother's birthday, by the way? When is your brother's birthday? By the way, por cierto, when is your brother's birthday? And Lisa responds, on Thursday, end of September. On Thursday, end of September. What year was he born? What year was he born? Now, if you would like to translate this literally into Spanish, it would be something like this. ¿Qué año? Oh no, I don't have a Spanish keyboard. And then this word gets a very different meaning, doesn't it? There we go. Important change. What year estuvo él nacido? This is how we would translate this literally, okay? So you see that the logic of English is completely different to Spanish, right? So don't try to translate everything because it's gonna be very weird, right? ¿En qué año nació? Right? That's what this means. So just accept the fact that this is what it means and this is how we ask that question. Try to just expose yourself and not memorize full sentences, not words, but full sentences. What year was he born? 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 All right? He was born in 1992. Okay, 1992. So when we say years, we separate them. So 19, and then we have 92. 1992. So we separate them. We could say, 1,992. But this, this is more, when we say it like this, it's typically just to say the number. Okay, so it's 1,992 meters high, this mountain. But if it's the year that we're talking about, we always separate them like this. We say 1992. Okay, why? Because it's faster. It's faster. 1992. All right? Okay, and do you remember the day we started our business? So John and Lisa have a business together, right? Okay, and do you remember the day we started our business? Business. That's how we say this word, business. And do you remember the day we started our business? Lisa says, on a Monday, 3 years ago. She knows everything. On a Monday, 3 years ago. And John says, yes, and look how far we've come. And look how far we've come. We've come is we have come. Nosotros hemos llegado. Okay, this is how we translate this literally, right? We have come, right? Look how far we've come. Okay, but in Spanish, you guys talk like this, right? You don't necessarily have to say nosotros. You just say hemos llegado, right? We don't do that in English. You cannot do this. No. You have to say we. Why? Because have could be I, it could be you, it could be they, it could be, different. So, but in Spanish, there's just one option. So that's because, why? Because you guys conjugate every single verb all the time, which we don't do in English, right? So just be mindful of that. That's what this means. So look how far we've come. I love you, baby. We can say baby, we can say babe, we can say my love, we can say sweetheart, very common. Sweetheart, this means like dulce, okay? But it's better, okay? So sweetheart is fantastic. So sweet means dulce. And heart, what does heart mean? You know that, right? Corazón, right? Dulce corazón, sweetheart. Okay? I love you, sweetheart. I love you, baby. I love you, babe. I love you, my love. Would be maybe a little too much, but you can say that. I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. I love you too. We can say I love you too. We can say I love you as well. I also love you. I also love you. I love you also. Yeah, we could probably say this as well, but this one is the most common one. But these things mean the same. Okay? All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this one. Now, get started. Go down and listen. Listen many, many times to this first version with translation so you understand the story. 5 times, maybe. Maybe less, maybe more. It depends on you. Listen until you understand the story. Once you understand the story, then you go down to step number 2 and you listen until you understand the story with your eyes closed. Only listening to English, right? No translation. And then you go down to step number 3 and you listen many times until you're able to respond correctly to all the questions on time with your eyes closed. So practice this interactive version 10, 15 times, or how many times it requires you to be able to go, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no, and be correct on everyone, be on time, and do it with your eyes closed. And when you can do it once with your eyes closed, feel free to do it again with your eyes closed. Because the more times you repeat with your eyes closed, the more you're training your listening, your hearing, your ear, and the better your speaking becomes, because your speaking is directly correlated to your listening. And your writing is directly correlated to your reading level, right? So that's why it's a good practice to, whenever you understand the story, you have reached the objective, which is to understand the story with your eyes closed, then listen a few more times, continue not to look, because that's going to be very valuable training for your listening. Okay, that's it. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.